Hello everyone, and welcome to a very special Let's Play. This is special because it's one of my favorite games of all time, and it is Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Super Metroid is an action-adventure game made in '94, like we just saw, by Nintendo because it's one of their games. It's the third game in the Metroid series, and I've played most of them, but I'd have to say that Super Metroid is probably my favorite out of all of them. Now, we could jump right into the game, but I think we're just going to give it 1 second to go through the attract mode, because it shows off a couple of things we'll be able to do in the game. That's a kind of power dash that Samus will eventually be able to do. I think I can do that one. Swing around with the grappling beam, which I'm not very good at. Alright, and this is the bomb jump. This is another one that I'm not all that great at. And that is using the charge beam with a power bomb. Different beams and different beam configurations will get you different effects. This is a very cool one, but I almost never know how to pull it off. You gotta have a certain number of missiles, and your health has to be at a certain point, but essentially it recharges you back to full health. But that's enough of that. Let's grab our controller here. We're going to be starting a brand new game. Now, I'm not going to change any of the settings or anything. We're just going to jump in as is.
The last Metroid is in captivity. The galaxy is at peace.
Well, for the time being. First, I battled the Metroids, my planet Zebes. It was there that I foiled the plans of the space pirate leader, Mother Brain, to use the creatures to attack galactic civilization. And these are the events of the very first game. Now what we're seeing here is actually footage of the Super Metroid game, not the original game. I next fought the Metroids on their homeworld, SR-388. I completely eradicated them except for a larva, which after hatching followed me like a confused child. Like a baby, you might say. Now these are the events of the second game, but again, this is animation from Super Metroid. I personally delivered it to the Galactic Research Station at Ceres so scientists could study its energy-producing qualities. And that leads us to where we are more or less right now. The scientists' findings were astounding. They discovered that the powers of the Metroids might be harnessed for the good of civilization. Satisfied that all was well, I left the station to seek a new bounty to hunt. But I had hardly gone beyond the asteroid belt when I picked up a distress signal. Ceres Station was under attack. Alright, and there we are. Bounty Hunter Extraordinaire Samus Aran. I'm not quite sure if I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. Jumping, shooting. We don't have most of our goodies just yet. We gotta take the time to unlock those. But we can jump with the A button. Well, that's the A button in my configuration. Fire with the X. And if we hold down B, we can run. Later on, we'll need the L and R buttons to do things. And we can check our map and our inventory with start and select, but not yet. Oh, there's the baby. Come on, let's just pick you up and go. Oh. That's a problem. It's a big problem. That problem goes by the name Ridley. Which again, I may or may not be pronouncing right. He is a reoccurring villain of the series. In fact, I think he's been in nearly every Metroid game. If Mother Brain is the leader of the Space Pirates, I guess Ridley is sort of the second in command. I'm getting low on health here. Oh, I'm able to fire diagonally up like that by holding down the right trigger. If I held down the left trigger, I would aim diagonally down. Ah! That one hurt us. Well. Okay, the fight's over, but we're not safe yet. Self-destruct sequence activated. Evacuate colony immediately. Okay, we've only got about a minute to get out of here. Luckily, that should be more than enough time. A lot of that is going to depend on how well I can jump. The space station is starting to fall out of alignment. That's alright, we made it out. Kaboom, yo! Planet Zebes. Alright, we've landed on the planet. Now, as Samus mentioned earlier, this is the events of where the first game took place. Now, before we go off and do anything else, we're just going to recharge in our ship. When we recharge in our ship, we'll restock all our ammunition. That will be the ammunition for our missiles and our bombs. We'll also get a chance to save our game. Now, as you know, my adage is save smart, save often. And we're going to do that plenty in this game. Alright, we still haven't got our ball power just yet. Now, some games award you if you're able to finish the game without using a certain number of saves. Super Metroid, well, in Super Metroid you kind of get a different ending based on how fast you can get through the game. I wouldn't really say it's a different ending, it's more that the animation during the ending changes depending on how fast you can get through the game. Now, I don't think we're going to get through this game in the less than 3 hours time required to get the most difficult to acquire ending animation, but we're going to certainly try and we'll see what we get. Now this part right over here is where we start the original Metroid game. And here's our first power-up. The Morphing Ball. Oh, but it seems we got something's attention. Now we can turn into the Morph Ball and get around the areas that we couldn't before. Now these blue doors you need to open by firing a single shot at them. Over the course of the game we'll find other doors of different colors that we need to use different ammunition to open up, like missiles. And we've got our first set of missiles right now. And using the select button we can switch between our beam and our missiles. Like that door right there will not open with normal blasts. We have to use missiles to open it up. In the case of a red door, it takes 5 missiles. Oh, there's another one of those eyes. Every time we find a missile power-up like that, we're going to get 5 extra missiles to our missile cap. So even though right now it says 5 missiles, we can have a max of 10. We haven't met any enemies yet, but when we do, certain enemies can only be destroyed with energy blasts, certain enemies can only be destroyed with missiles, some are more vulnerable to bombs, and some are more or less vulnerable to certain configurations of our beam weapon. But we don't have any beam weapon configurations just yet. Oh, and there are our first group of enemies. Space pirates. And they are dropping missile power-ups for us. They'll also drop health power-ups, bomb power-ups, and other power-ups as we progress through the game. Here's some more enemies. These spiky enemies actually appeared in the first Metroid game as well. Oh, we can't get through here. The way is blocked. Maybe we'll come back later. And what do we have in here? More enemies. Oh, now this is a very special room. These are the map rooms. And when we interface with that little terminal right there, we get a map of the whole area. Now, it's not actually the entire area. There are secret areas that won't show up on the maps like this. And the best way to find these secret areas is just to explore and see if you can find them. Where are we right now? Criteria? And that way to Brinstar, that way to the wrecked ship, that way to Mardria. And over here is the Brinstar. And if we press R, this is our loadout for Samus. Right now, the only thing of note we have is the Morphing Ball. And the enemies have returned since we left the room. And with the Morph Ball, we can get in here. And this is another very important area. This is the save room. Yes, we would like to save. So, should anything happen, like me get killed by one of these horrible monsters, we can restart from right here. And since there's no real drawback from saving, we'll save pretty much every time I come by one of these rooms. Now, this enemy here, we don't have the firepower to take down. So we're just going to let him be. Now before we go through there, I'm just going to smash a few of these enemies to power back up our bombs. Well, not really power them up, just to fill up our ammunition. Now I should have mentioned this when we ran into the last one, but that is a Chozo statue. Chozo are an alien race, very advanced, that raised Samus when she was a small girl and gave her the suit that she's wearing right now. When we find Chozo statues, more often than not, they're going to have power-ups for us. Like that one right there. We get the bomb power-up. With the bomb power-up, we can lay bombs. But we have a problem. These gray doors cannot be opened. And that's why. That Chozo statue is coming alive. But so far so good, we're taking it apart. Oh, we blew its head off. Now it is running around like a chicken without its head. Alright, and that is our first mini-boss of the game. We'll be running into a couple of those over the course... we'll be running into a couple of those over the course of the game. But since we now have the bomb power-up, we can get ourselves to areas we couldn't before. See, we can't blow up these blocks with our blasts, but if we use a bomb, there it goes. Now, didn't we see an area that we couldn't get past? Well, now we can. Now, just like our beam weapon, we have unlimited use of the bombs. We can use them as much as we like. And what do you know? There's another missile. Now, I'm just going to check real quick. See if there's anything over here. Doesn't look like it. And our bombs work over here. We have access to a new area. And new pain-in-the-butt enemies. And there's a very nice power-up. That is an energy tank. That gives us additional health. Right now you can see that we have 99. And now we have 99 in a dot. Meaning we have two values of 99 worth. So we actually have something like 198 HP to use. Now our beam isn't hurting this guy. But missiles blow him right away. Okay, we got a blue door, we got a red door. Now the red door goes to a place that's not on our map. So why don't we explore that real quick? Oh, this place looks ominous. Nothing we can do here, really. But that statue there in the middle, all the glowing eyes, that creature at the very top of it looks a whole lot like Ridley, doesn't it? Wow. We'll have to remember this place for later. More enemies that we can't hurt. I don't even think missiles bother these guys. Now this thing right here is great. We will use that whenever we can to collect more power-ups. Those flashing purple power-ups restore our health. Okay, and we are going to Brinstar. A couple of new enemies, some new music. And a map room. That's what we want. Now we can see where we're going. You can see that red door is now a blue door. Even though we didn't use it before, it still turned blue because we shot it open. Well, not fast enough. Not fast enough yet. But we did get some missiles. Oh, we missed our save point. Let's take advantage of this right quick. Now I'm honestly hoping I won't die at all, but we'll see what the game actually has in store for me. Now it seems like we can get through there, doesn't it? Nothing happens when we fire down. How about some bombs? We've revealed something here. These little icons right here tell us how we can blast through it. We need the super bombs, but we don't have those yet. We'll have to come back later. There's a couple of places in the game where we'll get hints like that as to what we need to get through it, usually from using bombs. Okay, now this part has a bit of a gimmick. Those enemies there are actually our source of light. Bugger! If we kill them, it gets darker and darker in here until we can't see at all. And this is the missile reload room. We can come in here and have our missiles restored. Ever you run into a wall that you think you can't get past? Try hitting it with a few bombs and see what happens. This is another area we don't know how to get through yet. I'll have to come back later too. That's one of the things I personally loved about Metroid was how much exploration you can get out of it. Parts that you thought were inaccessible become very, very possible to get to later in the game. Well, another save point. We're here, might as well put it to good use. Well, now we have a green door. We don't know how to get through green doors yet. But more importantly, Audrey 2 just showed up. This is essentially our first real boss of the game. We gotta wait for it to open its core like that, and fire on it. We can destroy these little spores to get power-ups. I'm gonna try and make sure I shoot missiles down its gullet. Okay, it's changing color, and it's getting faster. That's showing off that it's hurt. Okay, I think just a few more volleys of missiles should do it. And down you go. But we're still stuck in here. Luckily, we can jump up on top of it and climb to this new area. Nowhere to go. Well, at least we can power up here a little bit. This pipe has no enemies coming out of it. Oh, that's because it was fake. Jumping on it destroyed it. There's a couple of blocks like that. If you step on them, they'll fall out from underneath you. We find our next weapon power-up. The super missile. The super missile is just what we need to get through green doors. Not only that, it's much stronger than regular missiles, and can even affect the environment, like you just saw there. It made those enemies fall from the top of the screen. And that is the signal for super missile. And I just used up all our super missiles. An orange door. How do we open that one? Again, something we'll figure out as we go through the game. Oh, we fell through the floor there. And you may remember from the opening, Samus uses her grappling beam later to get across those. Now, yes, this is pretty much taking us back the way we came to fight the first boss, but that's alright. There's a save point over here, and we're going to use it. And we're going to save our game, because we've gone for a little more than half an hour at this point, and I think this is a good spot to finish our first episode of Super Metroid. I hope you guys have been enjoying it so far, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Take care.